And welcome into the Monday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. Hope everybody had a fabulous weekend. And Joe, is a weekend full of preseason football and our first reaction Monday for the Tennessee Titans of the year. And I was telling you before the show started, could be one of several Mondays coming up where we're talking about a Tennessee Titans loss. And that's what we'll be talking about all day long today. Titans fall 29-7 in the preseason opener against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're going to take your thoughts on what you saw, your takeaways from the game all show long at 615-737-1025, our phone number. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you? How we doing?
Great. But, at least this Monday reaction to a Titans loss, doesn't matter. The loss doesn't matter.
That's
right?
true.
So, it doesn't count. Just like that 70-yard field goal for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's great. It's all excited. Everybody celebrate, but it's not in the record books. It doesn't count.
That is also true. So Jacksonville can't have good things.
Not to pick on Duval, but that was cool. There we go. That was cool. And some of the Titans game was cool too, actually, I must say. But yeah, you come away and it's like, well, let's see. The run defense got absolutely trampled. The offense scored a total of 7 points. There was quarterback play that made you nauseous.
And they got beat by more than 20. It's like, all right, there's a lot of things that seem familiar about all this. Cool.
But it's just the preseason.
Have to keep that in mind. That's just the preseason. Ian Safar, how we doing? What's going on?
Doing great. Happy Monday, everybody. Excited to get the week going, huh? More preseason. Jam-packed.
That's the other part.
Some more joint practice.
There's more.
Head to ATL.
We got a whole lot more preseason coming your way.
Shedeur Sanders taking the league by storm.
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
Absolutely. Rexrode's over there flexing. I'm surprised he didn't bring his Shedeur Sanders Browns jersey in today.
Yeah, he was good. Jackson Dart was good. I think Cam Ward was good.
It's fine.
Yeah. I think there was a lot of these rookies, So that actually might be part of a rant that I have.
Well, all right. We'll get into that but later.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see how it goes. Cam Ward played 2 series for the Titans in this game. And in the first one, the Titans went 3 and out. He was 0 of 2, including on third down where he had to roll out. And the play just never really came together, threw the ball away, and did not throw the ball away out of bounds, which I know has upset some people. But got back in on the second drive of the game. And looked good, especially his connection to Ridley there. Had Ridley on that drive had 3 catches for 50 yards. So a pretty good connection to Ridley displayed. I tweeted out at the time, Joe, like on the third catch, I was like, yeah, Ward and Ridley have shown more connection or more of a chemistry on this drive than Levis and Ridley had for the first 2 months last year, which continues to be a good thing to see if you're a Cam Ward guy looking to see how can you make an immediate impact this year. It's going to have to come largely at the expense of Calvin Ridley. Did have a pass on that second drive that probably should have been picked off and was not. So you always have to keep that in mind when we're having this discussion. But all in all, Cam Ward, 5 of 8 on the day, 67 yards, and 89.1 quarterback rating. And he was out there for 2 series, Joe. The second of which did not come until the second quarter. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
A lot of did not have the ball very much in the first quarter. Did the Tennessee Titans. What were your impressions of Cam Ward?
Yeah, I thought it was obviously you got that 3 and out. Like you said, I think there were 2 passes you take issue with. Not the biggest deal because it was so far away from everybody. But, yeah, you want that one to go out of bounds when you're throwing it away. And that was also, if you watch that play again, that was actually better protection than I think he thought he had. And so there was a play to be made there. And I think Brian Callahan referred to that a little bit yesterday. And then obviously the should have been pick was, he was fooled. It was not what he thought he was looking at. And so that was bad. But I thought he strung together some really good throws on the second drive. And like you said, Calvin, really, if there's one thing I would take away, if I had one prevailing take from this game, it might be I would not sleep on drafting Calvin Ridley in fantasy football this year because he's going to get the ball a ton. I think they're going to be behind also, so there's going to be some empty calories, which in fantasy football, that's a beautiful thing.
It is.
And I think he's going to have numbers this year. Like you said, their chemistry is clear. That carried over from everything else that's been going on. It carried over into the game. And remember Ridley, it's like we talked last year, that 1 year in Jacksonville, it didn't go. Maybe some of the stuff was on him. Last year, I don't think it was all on Levis. I think some of it was on him. It was both of them. Probably more Levis, but he's now, this is the second year, the first time he's been in a second year in a system for a long time, really. If you look at you got to go back to the suspension and all that stuff in Atlanta. So I think it's pointing up there for sure with Calvin Ridley. Cam Ward, yeah, I wanted another series. Like, okay, build on that. I understand not doing it, especially with the field and all the
– yeah, what a joke that was.
Yeah, the stitched together field, and then you throw in some circling, rain clouds. But overall, I thought that second drive was a nice step forward.
Yeah, I thought so too. And again, some good throws made to Ridley on that drive. Was not perfect, but the second series of the game for the offense not coming until the second quarter starting was not good. We'll get to the defensive part of this a little bit later in the show as well. But at that point, you knew that was probably going to be it for Cam Ward, and we'll see kind of what the workload looks like this week for him against Atlanta with the joint practices and how that affects what Brian Callahan does when the game comes around next week. Ridley, they target him 3 times, 3 catches for 50 yards. The 27-yarder kind of over the middle there, which was a good play. I was more impressed, I think, with the other 2. Cam Ward kind of lofted the ball on the second throw right over a defender's arms, right into the hands of Ridley there. I thought it was a good throw there. Made another good throw on an out route to Ridley. So, I thought, that connection is pretty obvious. We'll see what sort of connections they're able to build. Lockett had 1 catch, I think, for 7 yards in the game. So not a ton of work for Tyler Lockett in the game. But the Ridley one is continuing to be a positive sign. Like, all the reports from camp have been he and Ridley have been connected and together. And it looks like they're just at a pretty good starting point, certainly based on how opposite that was last year when the season began. So that, to me, if you're looking for a really positive takeaway on the Ward front, that's probably it from game number 1.
Yeah. And look, and this is where you get into any preseason talk, which you're allowed to have. Things happen. You can talk about them. See where I'm going here? Like,
yes.
I'm annoyed from some of the discourse this weekend. But you have to take into account that the Titans were blocking second-team players. They were blocking backups. The Bucs basically – I wish some of these coaches will. It's like, let's get on the same page together.
Yep.
We're gonna play stars against each other, or it's like yesterday. I was watching the Dolphins Bears, and it was like, the Bears basically didn't play anyway. The Dolphins played a lot more stars. It's like, can you guys get on the same page? So it is absolutely with a grain of salt. You do have to be careful to not jump to conclusions. But I liked the Titans' offensive line.
I did too.
I thought. I think past versions of the Titans offensive line, even against those backups, you see leaks. And yesterday or Saturday night, I thought there was some positive signs there.
I did too. And again, like you said, how much of that is an actual representation of what's going on out there? I don't know. I mean, you're talking about mainly backups for Tampa Bay, so you have to keep that in mind. But just watching them, the quarterback drop back to pass and not be immediately driven into the ground was a nice change of pace out there for Cam Ward and the starting offense for the Titans. So hopefully that is a positive sign of things to come here for the rest of the preseason.
And on the one in the first drive where he drifted, that was, remember, no Zeitler.
Yep.
So, and that was kind of where the pressure came from, but they contained it. And again, that's one of those where hang in there and, you've got stuff developing. But other than that, he looked comfortable, and we didn't really get to see, again, I think some of he's going to make a play in one of these preseason games where he extends a play and the whole bigger Kyler Murray thing, because he does that stuff. He's really good at that stuff. And then you can make a big play off it. You don't want to make a living off that, right? You want the ball out fast. You want to be efficient and move the chains, but he will make plays like that. But that's the thing. He didn't really have to.
Yep.
Again, tiny little sample size here, but I thought encouraging that. And I think some of the other receivers also, you saw a little bit from Some, not a lot of production, but I think you saw like there's some ability with that receiving core beyond Ridley too. I don't think it's a Cheeks receiving core.
No, I think it's got a chance, and we'll see. What Isle Manor continues to develop into. You could see DK's speed flash a few times there. I like the suddenness of Lockett and what he could bring to the table. So we'll see how that continues to develop as it goes here. But yeah, like all in all, I thought Cam Ward was fine. Like it wasn't perfect. You're talking about a very limited sample size, so another thing to keep in mind there. He played 2 drives. Okay, so it's not like there's a ton to go on. But I thought he was fine. Thought he made some good throws on that second drive. We will get into what appears to be just absolute cheeks behind Cam Ward at the quarterback position a little bit later in the show because we're already getting some comments on that on the text line. They could be in a world of hurt at backup quarterback. We will get into that a little bit later in the program. But all in all, it was good to see that the offense on the second drive go down the field and score a touchdown. Unfortunate that was the last touchdown they scored on the night. But when you get into the third string, I don't really care what the production looks like from those guys. But all in all, a solid debut from Cam Ward, and we'll see how he can build on it from week 1 to week 2 when they go up against Atlanta this next week. There's a few other takeaways offensively that we will get to coming up next that I've got. We got an injury to discuss on the Titans front, which is not good to see as well. We'll get into all that coming up next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
It felt good, especially for us to get more than just 3 plays under our belt, for us to get a rhythm as an offense. You know, it's a lot of guys' first time playing together, but it felt good to come up with points.
That's Cam Ward after the game on Saturday. Titans lose 29-7 in the preseason opener. We've discussed Cam Ward's opening performance for the Titans in the preseason. Taking your thoughts on that throughout the show, 615-737-1025. Joe, we do have an injury to discuss from the first game. Tyjae Spears is going to miss the rest of the preseason, looks like, with a high ankle sprain. So you're already dealing with a high ankle sprain that he sustained in the game on Saturday night on what was a nice run for him, and then he comes up gimpy on the sideline, and that was all she wrote, and he was getting, I guess we should be careful in the way we say that, carted off the field. He jumped on the back of a golf cart and rode off the field, so he wasn't really getting carted off.
I saw Karski's tweet was very, he phrased it. Yes,
he did.
He sat on a cart that was riding toward the tunnel.
Yeah, upright. Yeah. He was sitting.
He was not carted off
out there. So Tyjae Spears going to miss a few weeks with a high ankle sprain. So, we've talked about him. Spears dealt with apparently some personal issues last year, in addition to some injuries. And now you're already talking about a high ankle sprain in the first week of the preseason with Spears. So, hopefully he's back and is available by the time week 1 rolls around and they're playing against Denver. With a high ankle sprain, sometimes you will be, sometimes you won't be. You don't know exactly what that's going to look like. But not a great development early in the season with Tyjae Spears.
No, and not a great development if you're really trying to talk about some kind of more of a split workload. Nah, never mind. Tony Pollard, you're the guy. Spears may be back for the opener. Like you said, my mind with high ankle sprain is 4 to 6 weeks before you're really okay. Like those are, now we've seen some high ankle sprain. Like it's like the Patrick Mahomes one from a couple years ago. It's like, oh, he's back in a week and he's fine. Like that's not a high ankle sprain. Like there's no way. But I don't know. I mean, we have Achilles injuries that are healing at incredible speed. Like, by the way, Lloyd Cushenberry is supposed to be back this week. I'm like, wow, that's pretty good.
Well, before L'Jarius Sneed, which is continuing.
Well, there's that,
amazing.
Which is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, but the Spears stuff, it's just it's too bad because he was going to get some. I do think there's something to him being more explosive and having a chance to do more. I have not bought the split idea, but a little more.
Yeah.
Now it's like, yeah. So then you look at the other backs. Does this create an opportunity? I mean, right now it's Julius Chestnut, who is absolutely an August superstar.
He is.
And Khalil Mullings, who, and its first carry, I was like, dude, you're a huge back. This is a short yardage, and you're just trying to put your head down and get the yard. That was a bad rep for him, but I thought he had some really good runs after that. But it's like with either of them, it's the third back race and like the short yardage thing and all that, but it's going to be Pollard.
Yeah, like I don't know that I've ever really bought the idea of a split backfield either. Like, I don't think there was going to be a scenario where you look at the end of the year and Pollard and Spears, assuming health from both of them are within, 10 carries of each other, right? Probably wasn't going to play out that way. But it's not a great start for Spears. That this is obviously a crucial year for him, right? Like you're talking about not much production to this point in his career. You can see it, like when he gets going a little bit, you can see, what the Titans like about him in the open field. Problem is we just hadn't seen that very much to this point in his career, and I think this is such an important year for Spears. Of there's not just been a lot of production to this point, and if there's not this year, you're going to see the Titans move on. Like they're going to be, there's going to be another plan of how they're going to deploy their running backs moving forward here if Spears doesn't have a big year this year. And now you're talking about already putting yourself behind the 8 ball. And look, if he's available in week 1, maybe we look back at the end of the year and this is really not that big of a deal. But it's a tough start for a guy that absolutely, for his career, needs to have a pretty big year this year.
Yeah, some people are just magnets for injuries.
Yep.
He's one of them. And he's got some talent, no doubt about it. He's got enough talent to be a factor for a team in this league. He's an awesome guy, and I think that's another that matters sometimes when it comes to like opportunity and maybe someone being around longer than maybe fans would think they should be. I mean, I think that he's a valued guy in the locker room, but yeah, it's tough for him. And you do need to feel like you have a quality like third down back for the opener.
Yeah.
So then, is there something? And I don't think either of those guys battling for RB3 are that. So I also wonder what that might mean in terms of maybe a move. Mims has some talent, so I don't know. But I mean, that's what you need. You need to make sure that you have that third down back at least ready to go in week 1. They'll probably have some clarity on that as in the coming days to see how he's healing.
Joe, a couple other quick takeaways that I've got for the Xavier Restrepo truthers out there. You can officially kiss that goodbye. He had 11 snaps in this game. So that kind of shows you, I think, where he's at right now in this receiving room. He's playing, I think he played, Kuharski pointed this out, he played the same amount of snaps at wide receiver as TJ Sheffield did. So I think that kind of tells you where things are.
Now, sometimes that means you're really an important player, but in this
I don't think in this
instance
that's what it's looking for.
That's not what it is.
It does not look to be what it is. So Restrepo is, I think, uphill battle is probably kind towards making the roster. Now, practice squad, we'll see, but uphill battle towards making the team. And Joe, I looked up, and with I think it was like a minute and 55 seconds left in the game, somewhere in that neighborhood. And the broadcast is going as like, well, Josh Wiley makes the catch. And I was like, Josh Wiley's playing with a minute and 55 seconds left in the preseason game here. I think that kind of shows you where he's at in this tight end competition right now. To me, I think it's pretty clearly Chig, Helm as your starting 2 tight ends, depending on what personnel they're in. And then I think David Martin Robinson is 3.
Yeah.
And I think Wiley is battling with Odukoya. Who knows if they're keeping 4, first off. But if they're keeping 4, I think Wiley's in a fight right now for that 4th spot.
Yeah, no, I agree. So that's a good call on your part, and my Restrepo prediction is going to fail miserably, I think. I was surprised because I figured at least Restrepo. Of course, I also thought Mason, where was Mason Kinsey, man?
Unfortunately, Mason Kinsey was on the field with Tim Boyle, and that was not going well for anybody.
You can't blame any receivers for a 0.6 QB rating. But I still, even if he's not making the team and he's a clear path, you figure he's definitely going to make some plays, and maybe he will.
Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe he will Friday against the Falcons. But yeah, that was a little bit of a, oh boy, this guy's not really making much of an impact.
I was surprised by just how much of a non-factor he was. I'll put it that way. In a preseason setup where he probably should have been on the field a lot, and he just wasn't out there. So that was interesting to see. Let's head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in, Jared in Spring Hill. Jared, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah. Good morning, fellas. I was just, I think that's the best way to describe Ward's performance. Is just it was fine. But, selfishly, I would love to just see him. Because the difference between sometimes you see starters that can really piece or, pick apart a defense. And, there was flashes of it. But, again, I wanted to see more. I wanted him to see him throw a touchdown. I just wanted to see a little bit more. And Callahan show that he has a little bit of traction, because I think the big underwhelming thing here, I'm really starting to panic. I know it's the preseason and I'm crazy, okay? But I'm really starting to panic about Brian Callahan if he knows how to really put up points. 7 points in a preseason game going against second string on the first drive. What are we doing? And then I feel like as the game progressed, the backup quarterback situation is, double red flags. And then I don't feel like we had that much depth to compete with Tampa Bay's depth. I don't feel like they were doing anything different in that setting to really, it's not like they're running trickeration the whole time and putting up 29 points. Can we put up points? We have to be able to figure this out. I know it's the preseason. I know I'm going crazy. But, we can't win that many games if Brian Callahan can't figure out a way to get to the end zone. Tighten up.
Thank you, Jared. Appreciate it.
That was a very like, tighten up. It's kind of like
Duval.
I appreciate you. Duval. Bear down.
God.
What a stupid phrase for that stupid franchise.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Sorry,
Sorry,
Corey
we're gonna get
Curtis.
some Chicago people really mad at us. Look, yes, I mean, I did take note of Joe looking at the score at the end of the game, being like, "Wow, 7 points, awesome, more of that." But I will say, I just think there's a big limitation of what you can take away, certainly from a play calling standpoint, but even a flow of the game standpoint in the preseason. Like there's not any scheming up, game planning. There's a lot of vanilla that goes on. And yeah, like you want to see your team score more points. I get it. And in the backdrop and the context of this team hadn't been able to score points for 3 years, I understand it, right?
Yeah.
Titans fans are tired of it. I'm just saying, like, I would not overly freak out about 7 points in the preseason yet, knowing that all of that is in the backdrop where there's not a whole lot going on out there.
Yeah. Preseason is a good time to me to look at individual players, and you're going to get an idea of some things. Really hard to make sweeping judgments about teams, good or bad. Titans could come out against Atlanta and score 30. And I'm not – and to me, the concerns about Brian Callahan are exactly the same they were going into the preseason, which is like looking at last year. And so I get it too, because it's just like you're so sick of the low point totals as a Titans fan. I understand.
Can you win your one-on-one matchups on a consistent basis? That's really in the preseason, whether it's offensive linemen, whether it's edge rushers, it's when receivers are one-on-one against the corner and man coverage. Like, can you win your one-on-one matchup? That's a lot of what the preseason is. That's what you're trying to really set up and determine.
So I've got a defensive player that I came away excited about, and one that I was very disappointed in off this game.
Okay, we'll get into that. Coming up next, we'll get into some other defensive takeaways for the Tennessee Titans coming up next as well. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. This week's Nashville's best deal is Fat Bottom Brewing Company. Join Fat Bottom this Saturday for their Lucky 13 anniversary party at 800 44th Avenue North in Nashville. It's a full day of casino-themed fun, live tattoos from Black 13, face painting, balloon art games, and, of course, ice-cold beer. Get a $100 gift card, half off while supplies last at theGameNashville.com/deals. Plus, don't miss their Lucky 13 anniversary party this Saturday at Fat Bottom Brewing Company. Welcome back in. Robby and Rexrode. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. There was something on the Titans broadcast that I heard Saturday night that really pissed me off, frankly, and we'll get into that coming up here in just a few minutes. But first, Joe, you got some takeaways defensively. One player that really stood out to you in a positive way, and one maybe not so much on Saturday night.
So I really liked what I saw from James Williams. And, of course, he set the tone right away on the opening kickoff, flying around. I mean, we've known that he is an athlete, has all the traits athletically, was kind of a project pick as a safety coming out of Miami. But I thought he looked like he really had a feel for things, too, at linebacker. And they played him a ton. They played him and Cedric Gray together a lot, which, I mean, so I guess to me, I look at Gray as sort of like Cody Barton's back. I mean, he's the third guy. And I thought he did okay, too. Like, as a third guy, that's not bad. Obviously, he was drafted to be more than that by now, but Cody Barton was a good pickup. Cody Barton is a signing that I don't think we made a big enough deal about when it happened, and he's good. And I think James Williams, we'll see. Again, this is like, okay, let's see it when there is scheming, as with all of this stuff. And when there is an opponent playing its starters and all that. But I just thought there was a lot to like about how he played and how he seemed to react quickly to things. That in tandem with the way he can move, it could be a good combination.
I agree.
So I like that. Boy, Femi Oladejo, man. Man, I understand it's a project, and so you have to give these things time. And we knew he's not going to come out here and be a 10-sack guy. Now, then there's some of the, again, preseason, you hear some people saying stuff about him and off of practice, and it's like, yeah, let's wait and see. Again, I went out there and he was not very effective, but in this game he was absolutely Casper the Ghost.
Yeah,
and I just didn't see good things from him in either aspect of playing that position. And he's going to have to play this year, I think. I mean, it's possible, though. When I watched him, I'm like, it's possible that you're going to see, like, guys like Harrell or Gay like playing over him this year just because he's not ready at all.
Which then makes you wonder, why in the world are you taking him in the second round?
Right. If that turns into, whoa, what a player he is next year, okay. But, yeah, you want to see more than we saw Saturday. You want it to feel good about that pick. Understanding it's a project pick, but still, you want to see more than that than we saw, and it just looks to me like he is a long way away.
Yeah, and again, like that on the surface of it, I don't have a huge problem with, but I would have way less of a huge problem with it if the Titans had some guys in their rotation right now that could play, right? They could play at a reasonably high level at that spot. They don't. And, conventional wisdom would tell you he's going to have to be a big part of it this year. But maybe he's not ready. And, again, the project pick, if he ends up as a great player 2 years from now, then I guess I don't really care what he does this year. But it does make, like, we are talking about a second-round pick here. And I do think with him specifically, that's been lost a little bit in this discussion of, well, he's a project pick. Don't worry. Like, he'll be good here in a couple of years. And it's like, well, that's not really what you do with second-round picks. Like, you need your second-round pick in the NFL to come in and to be able to show you something immediately.
Often to start.
Yeah,
even
to
if
start.
you're good.
Like, and again, nobody's expecting your second-round pick in their first year to be a finished product. And I understand where the Titans are from an organization, right? Like, this is clearly a build that's going to take some time here. So I get all that in the backdrop of it. But, like, if he gets out there and just shows you next to nothing this year, that's still not good. I don't care if it's a project pick. And again, I'm not going to overreact to one preseason game. We'll see what he does when the regular season comes around. I'm just saying, like, if it gets to the point where they feel like they can't play him this year on a consistent basis, that is not good for that pick.
Yeah, there's no real way to spin that. And so I think there's a critical week here for him. Critical, try to come out there and show a little bit more. Obviously, the number one pick overall is going to ultimately dictate berserker and where things are going. But second round picks are really important, and there are a lot of ways you could have gone with that. And so that's I agree. That's gonna if you're talking about a bad team, which I think we probably will be, with a losing season. Everybody expected that, but if your second round pick, now again, if your first round pick looks good, then okay, you can survive that. John Robinson's second round included Kevin Dodd.
Correct.
So you don't want this to be another Kevin Dodd. The difference is he also had other second round picks that were really good, like Derrick Henry. And this one was a critical choice to start building this roster.
Concern level that the Bucs on their first drive with Kyle Trask at quarterback drove down the field, kicked a field goal, and then basically played keep away from the Titans offense the rest of the first quarter. Like, I don't remember exactly what the time of possession was in the first quarter. I can go back and try to find it, but it was something like, I think Titans had the ball for like a minute. Like, it was crazy how that
yeah, it was 14-1 in the first quarter. Yeah, there's a concern. Now, again, when we say, boy, good pass blocking Titans, and a Bucs fan will be like, yeah, okay, well, our starters are out there. So when you say, boy, terrible defense, Titans, look, this defense, if Jeff Simmons and Tavondre Sweat aren't monsters inside, they're screwed.
Yeah, they're gonna be awful.
They didn't play. So you have to keep that in mind. They didn't play. Who else would have made a difference? Like, again, Cody Barton is a good enough player that they're like, you know what? Yep, we're gonna,
well, Snead,
don't need to see much of him.
See him again.
There is L'Jarius Snead. He is someone who may play football this year for the Titans.
Yeah,
but yeah, mostly like though it starts there for the Titans. And I mean, last year was the same thing. Sweat was a rookie. He was fine. Simmons was good, but he wasn't great. I think they might have a better version of Simmons. I think he's put himself in position to be that. And then, we'll see with Sweat. If they aren't just a real problem for teams, then there's just way too many other deficiencies on this defense, and you're going to see that a lot. And even if they're really good, there may just be too many holes on this defense. But that is kind of important to keep in mind here.
No, I agree. But again, I mean, the flip side of that, if you're a Titans fan, could be, well, it was Kyle Trask at quarterback.
Yeah.
And Baker Mayfield was not out there. Like, Mike Evans was not out there. And they were still just marching up and down the field on the Titans defense. So, like, you could spin it any way you want to spin it. Again, it's preseason, so I'm not going to totally freak out about it. I understand if you're a Titans fan, though, going, all right, so, Tampa Bay's had the ball for 15 minutes, the entire quarter. To this point, you got Kyle Trask, what did he end up? 12 of 16, 129 yards, quarterback rating of 98.2. And not all of that was against like every starter that the Titans had on defense. But, they made Kyle Trask look a little better than he is out there, which was concerning to me.
Yeah. And yeah, I was impressed with him, by the way.
Yeah, he looked good.
But yeah, it's just the inability to affect the quarterback off the edge.
Yeah. It's a problem.
So it's like you better just be dominating on the interior. You better if you aren't doing that, like you're not getting enough on the edge here from this team to beat a legitimate NFL offense, a legitimate NFL offensive line.
We'll take your thoughts. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Plus, I heard something on the TV broadcast the other night that, number one, I really hope is not true. And number two, if it is, it like legitimately, as I was sitting there watching, really upset me. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Brian, I know you were missing two guys on the defensive line up front last night, but how concerning is 178 rushing yards allowed?
Oh yeah, I mean obviously the number sucks. I mean we're not looking to give up 178 yards at any point in any game, preseason or otherwise. But yeah, I think there's definitely some things that we misfit some runs. The later part of that game, we've got to do a better job there and making sure that there's not the type of lanes to run the ball that there were. Some of that is we just had multiple issues in a couple of those runs. So got to get it corrected. Don't want to see that very often. I mean, again, 178 yards is 178 yards, no matter how you cut it. So not the number we're looking for, and then that's got to get improved.
As Brian Callahan yesterday discussing the rush defense for the Tennessee Titans and taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. So Joe, I'm watching the broadcast on News 2, which, by the way, we'll have Corey Curtis on later in the program coming up at 8, who was the sideline reporter for the game. So we'll get his thoughts on
Did a fine job.
Did a great job. Get his thoughts on Cam Ward and all his takeaways from the Titans. But I think I'm looking at my tweet, which I tweeted at 6:53 p.m. on Saturday night. So I believe this was on the second drive for Tampa Bay. So somewhere along the way, Joe, on that just long drive that they could never get off the field on, I guess they made a nice defensive stop against the run at some point on that drive. To which I heard Charles Davis on the broadcast talk about his conversation with Denard Wilson, defensive coordinator for the Titans. And Charles Davis said, quote, Denard Wilson said, "Oh, you're not running the ball on us this year," is what apparently he told Charles Davis. And I heard that, and I was like, God, are you kidding me? Like, are we doing this again? Like, and he haven't played a game yet. And we got people talking about, oh, you're not going to be running the ball on the Titans again this year. We made fun of the Jeffrey Simmons quote of that last year, and nobody runs the ball in the Tennessee Titans. And then they gave up approximately 700 yards against the Green Bay Packers and the Washington Commanders and all these teams last year. And it turns out everybody ran the ball on the Tennessee Titans last year. We've talked about Rand Carthon and this box checking crap, and we checked every box, and every coach we wanted to hire, we got them all, and it ended up in a 3-14 season. So great job done by everybody. And I just heard that, and I thought to myself, number one, I hope that's not true. Like, I hope Charles Davis is exaggerating here, and Denard Wilson did not walk up to him and was like, oh, there's nobody running the ball on us this year. And if it is true, it's like, can we please stop? And I said this, and, Teresa Walker of the AP replied back and was like, well, it needs to be a focus. I was like, I agree it needs to be a focus, but go out there and show me you can stop the run. Stop telling me about all this stuff. I don't want to hear another word from Brian Callahan or Denard Wilson or Chad Brinker or whoever about, ain't nobody going to run the ball on us this year. Get out there and stop them. And then, of course, you look at the box score at the end of the game, and they've given up 178 yards on the ground. And again, I'm not going to blow that too much out of proportion because they didn't have Jeffrey Simmons and they didn't have T'Vondre Sweat. And obviously, those two guys are going to make a massive difference, you hope, in stopping the run. But I heard that, and I was like, I hope to God Denard Wilson did not walk up to Charles Davis and be like, ain't nobody running the ball on us this year. It's like, shut up. Go do it before you start talking about that stuff. It drove me nuts.
Could have been the rant. Why did you save this for the rant, man?
I don't know. I heard
645 rant.
Like, it legitimately, there's not much that can go on in a preseason broadcast that legitimately pisses me off. But I heard that, and I looked at my wife, and I was like, I'm going to have to turn TV off. Like, I'm sitting here getting mad over something Charles Davis said on the preseason broadcast in the first quarter.
It's funny you say that because I did watch a lot of preseason football over the last few days, probably more than I'm used to. I think some of it is there's just really interesting quarterback situations. Like, I don't mind watching Tua. Wanted to watch Shador. Wanted to watch, whoever. There was a lot of interesting. Maybe as we go on, I'll less want to watch it. But man, some of these preseason broadcasts, the homerism on some of this stuff is unbearable. Is pretty wild. So yeah, it's like, did Charles Davis exaggerate that a little bit?
I hope he did.
Yeah, I don't know, but I agree. Like, we have a chip on our shoulder. I mean, like, Callahan doesn't he doesn't make proclamations, right? He just is like, well, he just
I don't know.
positively.
Brian Callahan told me, said 2 weeks ago that Femi Oladejo is like way ahead of where he thought he would be, and then you watch Femi Oladejo, and it's like, well, where exactly did you think he was going to be?
Yeah. Well, right. So it's the positive outlook on everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is more like they're not. Put your.
They are not running the ball on us.
Yeah, I'd say they might do anything they want to do based on what we've seen from your team and what we know of your team right now.
And again, I don't even have a problem with you believing that. That's fine. But stop telling people this stuff. Just go out there and do it, right? Like, if I'm a Titans fan, I'm just so tired of hearing all that stuff. I am, based on the way it's gone over the last couple of years. It's if you want to have that mentality, I hope you do have that mentality. That's great. But go out there and do it. Quit talking about it. Go out there and do it. That's my message to the Titans. It drove me nuts. And again, I wasn't there for the conversation, so I don't know exactly what Denard Wilson said. I can only go on what Charles Davis said on the broadcast. I am hoping that he is exaggerating that conversation.
Yeah, like Robert says, he says it's a mentality he's trying to get his players have. That's great. So
awesome.
talk to each other. They don't run on us. But then, I sure as hell hope that, hey, by the way, guys, let's go through the 178 yards they got us, understanding it's a lot of backups and all that, but still, it's that's not. That's just not what you want. And like 14-1 in the first quarter suggests that
you couldn't stop.
You did have some starters out there. They really didn't, and they controlled the game. So it's one of those. Trevor says, now I see why Callahan was out there that one weekend losing his bleep. I guess. Don't know what that means.
I don't know. Like, it's amazing to me that we just continue to have these type conversations. And again, I understand it. Like, Jeffrey Simmons was not out there, and Sweat was not out there. So those two guys are going to be so pivotal against the run. But like, did you watch the Titans rush?
They were there last year.
Yeah,
like, they were out there last year.
There's a lot to prove on the rush defense part of that this year. It's got to be a part of what they do.
Yeah, they were out there last year. They had people who had played at linebacker last year. So I think maybe Barton makes a difference this year. I could see it being better.
Yeah,
but I don't know how I don't know how, if you're Denard Wilson, based on everything we saw last year, how you're that confident right now until you see it.
It's just let's play some games first.
Yeah.
Let's head to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Adam in Portland to the program. Adam, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Robby, I like this energy, bro. I like you getting all shook.
Thank you.
That's good. Hey, so also not to make you a little more disturbed, but that first drive should have absolutely been a pass interference and ball put on the 1 yard line. So hate to say that, but yeah, the pass defense is not that much better. I do have one thing for you though, man. I do think our defense, based off of one preseason game, is going to be historically bad. But also Ian, who's the best producer in all of sports talk radio, leads with "What about that punter?" So I think we should call him Johnny Football because he only had one shanked punt.
Yeah,
and everything else looked pretty solid. So I think he's in track to be our MVP this year.
Looking forward to it.
Let's go, Johnny Football.
I was actually a little disappointed in him.
I was. At least on the shank punt, he got a nice bounce on it.
Yeah. He had a couple that I was a little underwhelmed by.
Hey, Johnny,
we got to find positives.
Look, you might be pretty busy this year, so let's get some work in here in the preseason.
That is true. Yeah. Maybe you should sit him the rest of the preseason in anticipation for all the punts he's gonna have. Historically bad defense. I don't know about that.
God, I can't handle that.
But again, the edge is a real problem if you can't affect the quarterback. And so I think those guys inside, I think they will help against the run. Like Draymond Jones and these guys, that's also supposed to be about the run defense getting better, right? Okay.
Let's see it.
Potential, maybe. Right. But even if that's the case, affecting the quarterback, and if you can't affect the quarterback, a lot of quarterbacks are going to look better than they are, like Kyle Trask did the other night.
Let's head back to our 1025 The Game phone line. Welcome in our buddy Mark in Nashville to the program. Mark, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, what's going on, fellas?
What's up?
What's up, Mark?
Hey, how you doing? It's nice hearing from my favorite caller, Adam from Portland. I'm gonna throw it out there. But I got a couple of things though, Joe, Robbie. I just got off the phone with my uncle Charles Davis. He did say Denard Wilson absolutely said that. So that you could quote him on that. He did say that.
It's
Robbie.
official.
No,
Yeah, it's official.
I do not
But
like
hey,
hearing
look.
that.
But yeah, you're a little amped up this morning, Robbie. But Robbie, you know, Femi Oladeja, he's really not ready for that defensive end position. You could see that the other night. He really kind of got manhandled and whatnot. But they need to really look at something off the waiver wire because it'll be got some guys out there that could play defensive end a little better than he can. I would maybe with Gonzalez, I would maybe go out here and address that because they're going to have to address that because they're going to play into that weakness and run at him. And if he's their weakness, they're going to expose him. But Joe, Robbie, Jackson Dart looked good. Cam looked good the other night. Him and Ridley look like they're on the same page. Offensive line looked a little better. I mean, but it's going to be the defense too, though. The defense, Robbie, like Adam said, is going to be historically bad. I see that coming. And Denard Wilson may regret that he made those comments. But, hey, man, y'all have a good day.
Thank you,
I
Mark.
got to get to Atlanta.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
All right.
Let's head back to our 102.5 The Game phone line. Welcome in Jeff to the program. Jeff, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, gentlemen. Robbie, I want to thank you. I do love when you go off on a certain subject.
Thank you.
It makes my day.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but thank you.
That's good. But also, I think the Titans look 100% lost. They had nothing good going on in the whole game. And you gentlemen, please have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. Titans fans are down bad this morning, Joe. That's the takeaway that I'm getting after the first preseason game.
We all got to warm up for what the fall is going to be like. This is a good one.
Well, if you want to feel better about it, next segment may not be for you.
Yeah.
We're going to get
Continuing.
We're going to get into
theme.
the backup quarterback play that we saw on Saturday night from both Brandon Allen and Tim Boyle. Coming up next. Boy, was that a doozy. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Taking your thoughts on the Titans on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. Joe, the backup quarterback play, less than inspiring for the Tennessee Titans on Saturday night in their 29-7 loss to Tampa Bay in the first preseason game. Brandon Allen finishing 6 of 12 for 62 yards, 1 interception, a quarterback rating of 30.6, which is not very good. Tim Boyle, 4 of 13, 24 yards, 2 interceptions, a quarterback rating of 0.6, which I don't know.
I've never heard of that.
I don't know that I've ever seen before. I tweeted Saturday that I'm not sure that Tim Boyle could have been worse if he were actively trying to throw the football to the other team, which is not necessarily what you're looking for.
Because he had a couple others that easily could have been picked.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 2 was maybe best case scenario of what that quarterback play was like. I walked away and, Brandon Allen was out there, Joe, and I was like, I don't think this is going very well. And I was not prepared for what Tim Boyle was about to provide us in that next stop. What did you make of the Titans backup quarterbacks? And if you're the Titans sitting here today watching the 2 of them play on Saturday, again, knowing it's one preseason game, how much of a red or yellow flag is going up after having watched that on Saturday night?
Yeah, white flag. Wave the white flag. Kaharski yesterday was like, what's wrong with Tim Boyle? And I think Callahan said something about, he got put in a tough spot. And I'm like, yeah, you put him in a tough spot of having to play football in front of people. That's a tough spot, having to show how bad you are at quarterback and being on television. That's a tough one. I mean, it's pretty bad, man. It's pretty bad. I have thought Brandon Allen, is okay. And I thought for some of the game, it was fine. Then they had the 4th down, which that was another one where Callahan said he wished he had the play call back. But, it's 4th down. So did Brandon Allen think it was 3rd down? Was this a Joe Milton situation where it's like –
threw it out of the stadium.
Yeah, where it's like, last play against Ole Miss. Well, let's get a couple more yards and set up next week. We can have the next play, right? Yeah, I don't know. But he went nuke lelouch on that one. That sucker sailed. And I'm like, what was that? But that was just a little appetizer for what we're about to have with Tim Boyle. My goodness.
It was so bad.
My goodness.
I don't even know how to describe. Look, I've seen some bad quarterback play. And if you're a Titans fan long enough, you've watched some doozies roll through here. I don't know that I've ever seen anything quite like that. Now, there was no over the back, throw the ball straight up in the air interception like, Will Levis had last year. So, it was less spectacular than some of those, but just like the consistency in which he either missed his target or was picked off or should have been picked off was astounding to watch in a preseason game the other night.
I mean, I guess we can have some fun with this the rest of the preseason when Boyle comes in, sound like the Tim Boyle alarm. Here he comes. But I did sit there and I was thinking, I'd rather be watching Will Levis right now. I mean, Will Levis would at least be.
I was thinking I'd rather be
fun,
watching just about anybody else.
That's true. Gary freaking Danielson. I'll take Gary Danielson as 5 picks in a playoff game.
I think we've talked about this before. I mean, obviously, at the NFL level, there are not very many stats to speak of for Tim Boyle because mercifully, he's not been on the field all that much. But it is kind of amazing, even going back to college. These are Tim Boyle's college stats at UConn. He played 3 years. He had 621 yards passing in 2013, 335 in 2014, and 281 in 2015. And it's like, how is he in the National Football
He must
League?
Be one hell of a dude.
I don't get it.
UConn quarterback to make the NFL for one?
He's no Dan Orlovsky.
I don't understand it.
Oh, man, they know how to pick him there, huh?
He's six. I mean, the size is great. He's 6'3", 224 pounds. We've talked about this when they signed him, but like looking at his college stats, I'm like, I don't know how in the world that guy's in the National Football League. And by the way, in addition to all that, his highest completion percentage in college for a season, 52.4%.
Good Lord.
He completed 44.4% of his passes in 2013, which coincidentally is also apparently the year that he threw the most passes, 133.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
It's a very valid question of how is he in the NFL?
Yeah,
I mean,
like he transferred to Eastern Kentucky after
yes,
that.
yes.
I have no idea.
That's always a good sign when you go from UConn down to Eastern Kentucky. That's who you want in the NFL. Yeah, again, he must be one of the most amazing people in the world.
He must be.
I just got to have this guy on my roster.
Look, from the on the field standpoint, we all know this. Like, Saturday doesn't change this at all. Like, if the Titans at any point this year got to a position where Tim Boyle was having to play quarterback in the regular season, then they are totally screwed. I think we all know that. And look, probably with Brandon Allen. Like, if Brandon Allen has to play quarterback for any significant amount of time, well, the Titans are in big trouble. And at that point, I don't know how worried you are about winning games, right? Like it's just, all right,
No,
Cam Ward's
exactly.
out, and we're going to have another high draft pick coming up. That's what it is. So at the end of the day, the backup quarterback for the Titans this year in terms of their on-field ability is really not that big of a deal because they're screwed if Cam Ward goes down anyway.
I agree.
So what these guys do in the building, Brandon Allen and Tim Boyle, they may be great for Cam Ward. And if that's the case, good for them. I guess that's what matters. But holy crap, I do not. I mean, I walked away from that game Saturday, Joe, thinking if you've got to put Cam Ward in bubble wrap, if you've got to have offensive linemen that never go home to see their family because they're just escorting Cam Ward around town at all times that make sure nothing happens to him, do what you got to do. Don't let me see Brandon Allen or Tim Boyle on the field at any point this year at quarterback.
Yeah, and I've seen a fair amount. I'm not surprised. People saying they got to go, get someone, but I disagree. First of all, I mean, who's out there? You got Carson Wentz. I mean, if Mike Borgonzi liked Carson Wentz, he's had him before as a backup on his football team. So I think that it's a Cam Ward year. It's about Cam Ward. If you lose him, then enjoy that number one pick.
Yeah.
Seriously. Like,
and look, you may get it with him. But yeah, I mean, certainly without him.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So it's like, you're not like, I just cannot buy for a minute that you're going to be 8-4 and you lose Cam Ward. It's like, oh my gosh, like who can come in and keep this thing going so they can get into the playoffs? It's just not going to happen. So I don't think you do anything. Texter asking if Will was healthy, you think Cam Will would have played more Saturday since there would have been more of a QB competition? No, there would not be a QB competition. Now I will say, I've heard some speculation on this station that Brandon Allen was going to be QB2 no matter what, and Will Levis knew he was going to lose that job. Really? You sure about that? If anybody out there would like to retract that statement, now would be a good time to do that.
I've made that statement. I thought Brandon Allen was going to be quarterback. QB2.
But you didn't make the statement that Will Levis had no chance of being QB2.
I did.
Oh, well then retract it.
I did absolutely make that statement. And, oh boy.
Well,
now, that was more to do with Brandon Allen has been with Brian Callahan and they brought him in for a reason and all that stuff. But
right.
Holy crap.
Right.
He's bad.
I mean, I figured that would be a competition. QB2, Brandon Allen, Will Levis. Again, Levis is like the wild card guy, as we know. So is that the ideal backup to have, et cetera, et cetera? Yeah, it's a huge step down. It's not good. But at least, I mean, I guess you could look at this and say, well, QB2 looks okay compared to QB3, right?
I guess so.
Whatever that's worth.
I guess so. 615
tough spot
737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. A lot more of your thoughts to get to on the backup quarterback front. Do you think the Titans should try to go find someone else? Plus, in addition to that conversation, Joe, there's something they didn't do that I'll just never forgive them for. We'll get more into that coming up next too. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. I got some tickets to give away, a 4-pack of tickets to PBR Stampede Days this Sunday at Bridgestone Arena. Be caller 5-615-737-1025. Caller 5 will win a 4-pack of tickets to PBR Stampede Days this Sunday, coming up at Bridgestone Arena. Taking your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025. Joe, somebody on the YouTube chat says they've listened for 45 minutes on the way to an appointment. It's been straight negativity the whole time. Great way to start the day.
We said Cam Ward was good. He's
fine.
Encouraging.
Yeah.
First thing we said that. Is that not the most important thing?
I would agree. It is.
I'm sorry that everything else sucked.
I would really like to know what you thought was great about the other parts of the football game the other night that we're supposed to discuss.
Long snapping continues to be excellent. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, man. I think it's fine.
Ridley, we mentioned him.
Ridley was good.
Solid.
There we go.
James Williams. I said James Williams was good. I liked what I saw from him.
There you go.
Another guy, since you want some positivity, Rakes. And I understand the defense, there wasn't a lot, but I thought Rakes was a guy who looked active and gives them some depth on that D line. So there you go.
There you go.
I thought some of the receivers beyond Ridley, I thought you saw a little bit here and there. Again, tough sledding, depending on who's throwing the football at them or at people wearing the other jerseys. But I thought you saw some glimpses of a receiving room that has some talent, has maybe even a little bit of depth to the point that all of a sudden no one cares what Xavier Restrepo is doing because he's a practice squatter at best.
So, again, it's one preseason game. It was especially bad for Boyle, but you're talking about your third quarterback at that point. So, again, if he's on the field at any point for you this year, you're in big trouble if you're the Titans. Let's say they get through the joint practices this week, Joe, with Atlanta and another preseason game, and Brandon Allen and Tim Boyle just are they continue to be very underwhelming. What do you do if you're Brian Callahan, if you're Mike Borgonzi, Chad Brinker? Can it get to a point in the preseason where you are trying to look at quarterback and bring somebody else in to be the backup? Do you think that it's just going to be Brandon Allen as the backup and that's what it is right now moving forward, knowing that if Cam Ward goes down, you're in big trouble anyway? Like, how do you think the Titans will handle this if the quarterback play and the next two preseason games does not get better?
I don't think they'll do anything. And again, I do think that as bad as that last throw was, I think we have to be careful not to conflate Tim Boyle and Brandon Allen. Like, there's a big difference, okay? Tim Boyle is like, hey, man, would you grab a rake and maybe help out with the field a little bit? You want to hang around? I have no idea. Brandon Allen, he'll be the backup. He'll be QB2, and again, he's not a good QB2. There's another thing that, as I watched a lot of preseason football last few days, it's amazing some of the QBs I didn't even realize were in the league, who they are, where they're from, or what they're doing on a football field. There's
a few of those out there.
There are a few of those out there. But Tim Boyle, I think he might top any list, in terms of that. But no, I don't think they'll do anything. I'll be very surprised if they do anything. Brandon Allen and Brian Callahan have familiarity. I still think that. I think from Brandon Allen, we'll probably see some okay stuff. Now, to your point, I guess if it's like horrific, okay, well, maybe sometimes then you have to take that information and do something with it. But I'll be surprised. You look at who's out there. Again, like I said, I mentioned Carson Wentz earlier. Now, I understand that Ryan Tannehill is not retired. He's certainly not coming back here. I don't even know.
I don't think he's going anywhere at this point.
Probably not. I mean, I think he's probably going to roll through another year of seeing if there's a Flacco situation, and that's it. Otherwise, why not just retire? But yeah, just go ahead and embrace the suck if you lose your quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I that's what it's going to be. Right? If they lose him, they're in big trouble.
And by the way, I hope no one ever mentions again the idea of they should start Brandon Allen at Denver and wait till Cam Ward. They are flat out better with Cam Ward than any other quarterback on their roster, so that's what you roll with. The entire team is expecting that Cam Ward leads this team. The entire organization is about Cam Ward being your quarterback. He's your quarterback.
Oh, we got people
from
asking,
day one.
We got people asking about Jameis on the text line again. I mean, it would do my heart really good to see Jameis Winston in here. They had the opportunity this offseason to go sign him. I mean, he's out there. He's out there for a while, and they didn't do it. So that kind of shows what they thought. I mean, I think we'd all love it. It would at least be entertaining out there. And I mean, in all seriousness, I'm interested to see what happens with him. Like, are the Giants keeping 3 quarterbacks? Like, what do they do? Because we know that Russell Wilson is going to be their starter, and Jackson Dart
Look
is their
good.
future, and he looked good. So, and we'll get into Dart coming up here in just a few minutes. But Winston is clearly number 3 on that depth chart there. So, what's that going to look like? But even if he shakes loose again, the Titans had the opportunity to go sign him this offseason and did not do it. So, what does that mean?
Yeah. It's a big missed opportunity is what it means for all of us. But I suspect the Giants, it seems like once Jameis Winston gets in an organization, I mean, no one wants him to be their starting quarterback anymore, but it's like, this guy's great,
Yeah.
He's leading Bible study. He's hitting the crossbar. I mean, so they'll keep him as QB3.
Yeah. I mean, he looked around, told his teammates show up to Bible study at 3:30, and that their faith was going to determine whether or not he hits the crossbar, and then he drills it. What's that tell you?
Exactly. And hey, maybe Tim Boyle does amazing magic tricks or something.
Yeah,
who knows? I mean, I'm sure he's a beloved guy.
Aaron Rodgers loves him, so take that for what it's worth. I know that for a fact. Aaron Rodgers loves Tim Boyle, so don't know what to tell you. Again, I said it earlier, and I'm serious about this. If Brandon Allen, if the Titans coaching staff and the front office, they all look at it and they love what Brandon Allen and Tim Boyle provide for Cam Ward off the field, then really that's okay, great. That's what matters. Like if they're some people are better teammates / coaches than they are doers of playing that position, right? Maybe that's what Tim Boyle and Brandon Allen bring to the table. And there's no real way for us to know that because we're not in the meeting room. But the on the field part of it left a lot to be desired on Saturday night. I'll put it that way.
I'm going to continue to say, Tim has distinguished himself.
I would agree.
Let's give Tim top billing here. He is extraordinary.
Yeah. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Headlines around the league. Shedeur Sanders, impressive in his Browns debut. Jackson Dart got out there. Another tape put out there by Joe Milton and Hendon Hooker. We'll get into all that coming up as well. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Corey Curtis from News 2 will be with us at 8 o'clock. He was on the sideline for the game on Saturday night, and he will give us his thoughts on what he saw from the Titans coming up at 8 o'clock. So looking forward to that. 615-737-1025, our phone number. The Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up here in about 15 minutes. Joe, elsewhere around the National Football League, Cam Ward, not the only rookie quarterback making their preseason debut over the weekend. Shedeur Sanders, 14 of 23, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, a quarterback rating of 106.8 for the Cleveland Browns on Friday night. I think he played, was it 9 series? I think he played out there. So pretty good work for Shedeur Sanders, especially given their quarterback situation right now where you've got Flacco, who they were not going to play in the preseason. You know, Kenny Pickett has been dealing with injury. Dylan Gabriel has been dealing with injury. So Shedeur had to play a lot. They went and signed Tyler Huntley, and Huntley ended up 6 of 8 in the same game as well. But a lot of conversation around Shedeur Sanders and his performance on Friday, Joe. What did you make of Shedeur and the way that he played in his preseason opening performance for the Cleveland Browns?
It was good. I look at it and granted, I'm going off watching college football, but like it still boggles my mind that like Dylan Gabriel would go where he went in the draft and Shedeur went. I don't think there's any comparison. I think Shedeur Sanders is flat out better than him. And of course they have Pickett, and then Flacco is probably the starter to start the season, but I think Shedeur Sanders is going to start some football games for the Cleveland Browns this year.
Maybe against Tennessee Titans later in the year.
That is possible. No, he's good. I mean, he was good. I really liked what I saw. It's the same stuff I saw in college. He can move around, extend plays. You know, I should do the Sean Payton formula with him. It would not be kind to him because of the sacks, which is funny because when going in the draft process, we're talking about that as sort of an excuse for him, right? I mean, I think a lot of people say it's like if your offensive line is that, and they were terrible offensive line. You watch Colorado, he had to like bail out so often immediately. So it's an interesting. I'd love to actually hear Sean Payton's like. Does he give him any sort of asterisk because it was that bad? But boy, the negative plays, there's no question because of the sacks, where it's a very high percentage. But he's accurate, and he gets the ball out fast, and I just really like the way he sees the field, and it's gonna be a steal for them in the 5th round. Doesn't mean that he's going to be like a good starter in the NFL or anything like that, but that's still a heck of a place to get a talent like that. And it's just, you know, the whole conversation around him is, and I'm going to get into this a little bit in the next segment, but you know, it's just so much of like either you're, oh my God, amazing, don't say anything bad about him, or, oh, this is, he sucks. Yeah, whatever. Like none of the good stuff counts. He's good. He's a pretty good player, and I think that there's a chance that you know he ends up being like their do-over for Deshaun Watson that actually works for them. You know, it's like 5th round pick versus give the entire world and guaranteed deal to this guy. They actually may have a long-term answer.
Jackson Dart, 12 of 19, 154 yards and a touchdown for the Giants over the weekend. Quarterback rating of 106, so a nice performance from Jackson Dart. In his preseason opening game for the Giants. Tyler Shuck got out there, 15 of 22, 165 yards, touchdown, and a pick for the New Orleans Saints last night against the Chargers as well. So some rookie quarterbacks getting involved and getting out there over the weekend. Joe Milton played a lot in their preseason game against the Rams. He threw 29 passes, 17 of 29, 143 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, quarterback rating of 68.6. Joe, I actually watched a decent amount of Joe Milton out there playing. He was not very good in that game. So, you know, it's kind of the same story with him of he'll make some jaw-dropping throws, and he did that last week in practice, and he was all the rage down there in Dallas. And then there was one play where they ran like a 6-yard out route, and the ball's coming about 1,000 miles an hour and ends up about 15 yards over the receiver's head. And I'm like, okay, there's Joe Milton out there.
Yeah, that's the Joe Milton experience. It kind of just keeps coming back to that, doesn't it?
It does.
In fact, I'm trying to find the headline because our John Machado, who covers the Cowboys for us, the headline was like, Fat is something about a fastball and changeup. Like fastball looks good, but he's got to find the changeup. It's like, yes, this is the story of course, I can't find it right now. This is the story of Joe Milton. So I think everybody there can calm down. There was some talk about, he's got a chance to be a great player and all that stuff. He is QB2.
Yep.
That's a good job for him. He could come in, and again, like last year, that game he played, I was very impressed. But yeah, you miss some throws that are just, you can't miss them. And that's probably not going to stop with Joe Milton.
Probably not. Hendon Hooker, 7 of 10 for 38 yards for the Detroit Lions on Friday night against the Atlanta Falcons, and what ended up being a really scary situation out there on Friday night where the game was suspended. So you have to keep that in mind, that it was not, full game in the backdrop of it, but 7 of 10 for 38 yards. That's 3.8 yards per attempt for Hendon Hooker on Friday.
Yeah, it's not much to go on there. He's got two more games. Again, I still think he should win QB2 there because the other Kyle Allen is not good. That's a team.
I mean, Kyle Allen, 7 of 8 in that game, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns, quarterback rating, perfect, 158.3.
I apologize, Kyle Allen.
He's still not good, but a nice performance from him out there.
But that's one of those things that, you compare those two, and it's like, well, maybe Kyle Allen's QB2. That's a team where you could make the case, should they be out looking around, because they're good.
Yeah.
And, but again, like most teams are screwed without their starting quarterback, right? They do have enough. If you have a good defense, which I don't know that they do, you have a good running game, they definitely do. You want to be solid at QB2. You might be able to limp along and win a game or two if you lose your QB for a month or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
I know it's not trending great for Hendon Hooker. He does have 2 more preseason games.
He does. We'll see what they're able to do with that. Some injuries that have taken place. We talked about Tyjae Spears with the Titans. Landon Dickerson carted off the field for the Eagles in their preseason game. So we'll see exactly what that looks like. He's undergoing an MRI on his right knee today, according to Adam Schefter. So, obviously Landon Dickerson, a really good player for the Eagles. And if he's out for a significant period of time, that's a big loss for their group up front there. So you hate to see the injuries come up,
and they're
big
coming.
Players in preseason, right? So there's another situation where that happens over the weekend.
Yeah, it's coming, and there will be more, unfortunately. Brandon on the YouTube chat, I guess he did say there's undertones of sarcasm, but he did ask if the Titans are not showing Restrepo so that they can sneak him in the practice squad. I don't think that's it.
I think the league has told you, based on not drafting him, and now the way that it appears that he's being handled by the Titans, I mean, it just kind of tells you he's not very good, right? Like there are some people that are really good college players that just don't translate to the NFL. And look, I'm not saying for sure that's what, I mean, maybe Restrepo ends up breaking through here or resurfaces somewhere else and carves out a nice career for himself. I have no idea. But so far, the evidence and what NFL teams are telling us, Joe, is nobody drafted him, so they didn't think he was worth drafting. And now the Titans have basically gotten to the point in camp with him where he's an afterthought. Like that's what he is right now. So again, either everybody's wrong, which does happen, by the way. That does happen in the NFL, or he's just not very good. And I'm kind of leaning towards he's not very good.
Yeah. And look, and I love production. I love seeing what somebody does in college. I put more stock in that than traits. Traits are really important too, but I guess we could have that conversation with Oladejo. The difference being he just made the switch, right? So that's where you're like, some encouraging signs early with the switch, but still, I want to see someone do something at a high level in college. It is the minor leagues or the NFL. Restrepo looks like one of those guys who, and there's a million guys like this, just really good college players, and it's just not quite translating the NFL. I mean, you watch him, and he just I mean, he does kind of look like a fullback or something. He's kind of small and squatty, and obviously he doesn't. I mean, he's not a speedster. We knew this already. In college, he got open. I still think he has talent, but yeah, I think he's probably on the Titans practice squad, and I think they're probably not worried at all about exposing him and being able to sign him to that practice squad.
Yeah,
and I'm not even 100% sure he will be signed to the practice squad, but that'd be my guess right now.
That would be my guess as well. And again, keep him around, see if he can develop into something. I mean, obviously the production, he does have the production at the college level, but one thing is definitely clear. Like, for those who thought he was going to come in and be a contributor for the Titans this year, it does not look like that's going to happen. I don't think there's any way he's making the team out of camp at this point. And who knows, maybe they get in an injury situation where they got to bring him up at some point, but it doesn't look like that is going to be the way this shakes out for him.
And again, he's suffering by comparison,
right?
Because I'm seeing Bryce Oliver make a really nice play. I'm seeing James Prochet have a great return. I like what I'm seeing from Iomana for sure.
Yep.
For sure, like what I'm seeing from him. I like what I'm saying. I mean, I think Lockett is going to produce this year along with Ridley. So it's also just this room, which looked like it was this massive opportunity. It's better than I thought it was going into camp. So there you go, positivity.
And now we're going to get into a rant. The Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode is coming up next. We'll have Corey Curtis coming up at 8 o'clock. All that ahead, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
Shadur's a TV prospect. I hope he's not too whacked out on gummies, but yeah.
You weren't monitoring your tone very much.
All due respect to Reverse Robin Hood.
Thank you.
We all love volleyball.
Atlanta has selected Brett Favor, quarterback, Southern Mississippi.
Let's monitor my tone.
Okay, you're done interrupting me.
No doubt about it.
It is that time of the day, the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning here on the program. Joe Rexrode, the floor is yours, my friend.
Bear down. Listen to this song.
Stupid.
The Lion song is way better.
I agree.
All right, so I'm going to talk about Shadur Sanders. So this is a tweet I sent out when he was lighting it up the other night. I tweeted this out. I said, yeah, Shadur Sanders is good. This information has been available to all. That's what I tweeted.
Okay.
I did not say Shadur Sanders is going to be an all-pro. Shadur Sanders is amazing. This is a real football game. He's good. The context of that is there are people who don't watch college football who think that seriously that he, like, again, the TV prospect, but like, that, that he's just here because of his dad and that there's nothing there. The truth is Shadur Sanders screwed up the process. He screwed up the draft process, and his dad, the whole thing scared people off. And so the Browns, to me, end up lucking out, even though they looked like they had just eaten a bleep sandwich right after they picked him. I was thinking about those guys the other night. I'm like, are you guys feeling any better at all? But again, all the Shadur stuff, like context, it's like we also had people going into this preseason game saying the Browns are setting him up to fail, like on purpose. And it's like, so a franchise with a coach who is pretty close, I'd say, to the hot seat, even though I think he's done a pretty good job given the circumstances, desperate for a quarterback. Desperately searching for an answer, which is why they have Pickett and they drafted two guys and they got Flacco. They're going to set him up to fail on purpose. That's what you're telling me. And all these Browns fans are like, he's not getting first-team reps before the game. Well, yeah, he wasn't playing with the first team because it was all backups playing in the preseason game with them, which gets to my point here. So I tweet this about Shadur Sanders. That's all I said. Yeah, he's good. This information's been available at all. Here we go with Jacob Underwood on Twitter. Preseason game against backups. Will Levis looked like Brett Favre against the Falcons. Does that mean he was good? Thank you for weighing in. I have not responded. I am now. I got another guy. Third string, bro. Chill. Okay. Let's see. YouTube chat just a minute ago. Let me find it. Yes. K. Dodd. Sanders plays good in the first preseason game, and Joe says the Browns have their QB of the future. LOL. I said they might, and I already thought they might. Here's my question. The context of the preseason. Do we have to say every time, hey, nice run, but it was against backups. Let me count up how many backups. We know that in the preseason, it's preseason football. Does that mean that individuals can't do anything of note? Is there nothing that counts at all? I mean, the 70-yard field goal doesn't count officially. Still pretty sweet. I think that guy probably hit some long field goals in his right? Maybe. I don't know. Like, if you make a good throw, make a good read, make a good tackle, do anything, is it all just can we not discuss it? Is it just undiscussable because it's a preseason?
Undiscussable.
Yeah, that's totally not a word.
It is.
That's how flustered you people have me. Again, long fuse. Yeah, like I had thought before this that Shadur Sanders could end up being the Brown starter this year because they have Flacco. Pickett's not the guy. Shadur is better than Dylan Gabriel. I'm sorry. I don't know that he's going to be great. He was my favorite quarterback in this class. Also, it's not a very good quarterback class, okay? But, can we watch? We all know that there's backups. But if you're going to yell at someone and say, he's playing against backups, do you know that he's playing with backups too? Did you know that or not?
That is true. That's a good point.
I mean, it's, the context, we should all understand that it's a big grain of salt, but, there are things that happen in preseason games that might say something about a player. I'm looking at Ted McMillan. And I'm like, you know what? Deep, I don't want to give away any secrets here and screw myself in our fantasy draft, but like, I might be someone that I look at
So
down
him
the
and
line a
Ridley,
little
you're
bit.
telling me, and he just snipe you?
Yeah.
I did. I already said yes.
He's already said too much.
Ridley's like Ridley might be like a 6th, 7th round pick.
We'll see.
I'd say before that.
Well, maybe.
see.
Maybe. Maybe. I mean, 5th, maybe something like that. But yeah, I just like, can we talk about things or can we not? Are you a person who actually someone after everything they say about any preseason player? Or is it just that you hate Shedeur Sanders? So in that instance, that's when you're going to play the backup card. But if it's somebody else, you're not. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But I feel good about yelling at you now.
I will say I did watch Jake Locker and what I believe was his first preseason game. And I will go back and double check that it was his first one, but I think it was. Had this like play action pass where he rolls out to the right and he just fired an absolute rope down the field on one leg. And I was like, this guy's going to be awesome. It's unbelievable. Right. The throw that Jake Locker just made. Sure. And that was about the highlight of his career.
Yeah, like you would think that anybody who is in the NFL as a quarterback could do some things. Maybe not Tim Boyle. He may be the one guy who never has made a good throw in his life. But, yeah, you'd think that's, again, I mean, look, the point about Levis is fair. His first game, he was awesome, right? And so we overreacted. I mean, there are quarterbacks in this league who look really good for a season or two and then fall off. Yeah. There are quarterbacks who look bad, flat out bad for 2 seasons. Josh Allen, who end up becoming great quarterbacks who are going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. So I understand. So do we just never talk about anything?
Right. I mean,
wait until a career is finished, and then we can argue about how good that person was.
Well, again, we talked, I made the point about training camp practices and how much we talk about that. At least these are actual games, right? Like, at least these are actual, like somebody's trying to tackle you and bring you to the ground. Yeah. Like, I'd rather talk about that than the practice reps these guys get.
Yeah. And if you're someone who either wasn't familiar with Shedeur Sanders or you thought he sucked, and then you watch that preseason game, you're like, oh, he's good. Well, no, that's not what I'm saying. I already thought he was good.
Yeah.
Here's confirmation. The guy sees the field, can move, and he's accurate with the football. Uh-oh.
Seems important.
Does that mean he's going to – no, I have no idea. I have no idea what it means. It's just a preseason game.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep talking about him.
Well, again, but to your point with him, and I think he probably gets to this extreme more than most, which is – he's either got to be great and we over-exaggerate everything he did.
Yeah.
Or you just will give him no credit at all and he sucks and it's bad. And with him, I think more so than most because of who his dad is, that's what it's going to be. I mean, frankly, over the weekend, I probably saw a little bit too much of he's awesome. He's great. It's like, all right, calm down.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But it goes way too far the other way with him as well, which again, I did not think Shedeur Sanders was a first-round quarterback. I wasn't convinced Cam Ward's a first-round quarterback. We'll see. But, I was stunned to see him go to the 5th round. It's clear, we've talked about it, it's been reported, that he screwed some things up along the way in the draft process that rubbed people the wrong way. So that is clear that has gone down here. But, I mean, look, go back and watch him play college football, to your point. And the one thing that he was really, really good at is consistently putting the ball where it's supposed to be. Accuracy. And he doesn't have the biggest arm. He's not the world's greatest athlete. There's a lot of things about him that you can nitpick, but he has been pretty darn accurate with the football, and that'll serve you well in the NFL.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see, and then it's like, I thought a good point was made, and you're right. There's definitely some people like, oh, everybody's going to eat crow. It's like, okay, we'll see. It's a good start for him. I thought there was a good counterpoint to people who were like, the people who were like, no matter what he does, he sucks. It's like, so we did this on the show. Anthony Richardson, that happens. And it's like, yep, doesn't look good, gets hurt, same old crap. So if you can react that way to that, you can't react to when someone plays well in the preseason? Again, I thought Jackson Dart did too, by the way.
Yep.
Lots of rookies played well. It is vanilla. It's vanilla defense. You know what else it is? It's vanilla offense.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Take it for what it is.
Undiscussable, apparently a word. I'm looking it up.
Really?
Yeah, Oxford. English Dictionary.
Undiscussable is a word?
Yeah.
Wow. I had no idea.
Learn
And
something new every day.
Big Joe, your trolling isn't working, bro. Does he text you and he's like, hey, watch this. I'm going to try to troll Joe. on the text
Sometimes,
line."
yeah.
Yeah. Not
He
working.
did not this particular
Not
time.
working.
You've fallen for it. I'd say the rate of which you fall for it, 82%.
No way.
82%.
Still? Not still.
Well, it was 100% at one time, so it's got a ways to come down.
Man, I'm getting way better. I'm on to you.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Corey Curtis from News 2 will be with us coming up next. He was on the sideline for the game Saturday night. On the broadcast, we'll get his thoughts on what he saw and heard as it relates to the Tennessee Titans. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. Talking all things Tennessee Titans, and to help us do that, we head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Corey Curtis from News 2, brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic. Corey on the sideline for the preseason game on Saturday night down there in Tampa Bay. Corey, good morning. How are you?
I am delightful, Roberto. How are you today?
I'm also delightful. You look great, sounded great on the broadcast the other night, and you dodged the rain throughout the game too, which I know was a big concern heading into that one.
Just not before the game. So, for I don't know how long it was, half an hour, 45 minutes, just crossing your fingers that it would stop, not because I was afraid to get wet and mess up my coiffed hair, but because we all wanted to see Cam Ward play.
Yes, and we did. We saw Cam Ward play. He got 2 series in. It took a while for that second series to come along, but it finally did. So what did you make of from what we saw from Cam Ward, a limited sample size? What did you make of the way that he played?
I thought it was fine. I mean, it wasn't electric. It wasn't horrific. It was just kind of like the next step in the process. I mean, he was 0 for 2, and then he was 5 for 6. But you can point to the one incompletion was a ball that very well could have been intercepted. The one I go back to was the second incompletion when he rolled to his right and threw long down the sideline. He had Calvin Ridley open in the middle of the field. I mean, he just didn't see him. I mean, those guys are coming fast, and I think some of that is some of what he's getting used to. And, he'll probably, I'm guessing he'll make that play. He needs to make that play happen in the future. But again, this is the first one. I don't think we saw anything where we went, oh no, this isn't going to work. And we saw him, make some plays. I think what I really liked was the pass protection that he had. And I know it was against the second string, Bucks defense for sure, but he had good pockets to throw from and good vision to see downfield for the most part. And I thought that, I haven't seen that in a while. So that was nice to see.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about that, Corey, because it is against backups. It was against backups. Yep. So you have to keep that in mind. I said earlier, I still would say some previous iterations of Titans offensive lines in recent years would still look bad against backups. So I feel like we're seeing an improved group, but how much can you put into that?
Well, I mean, look, did Andre Dillard and Nicholas Petit-Frere not make Jalen Harrell look like the next iteration of Khalil Mack?
Yep.
Okay, so that's the start. Did you see Dylan Radins last night for the Saints? Okay, we didn't see that. All right, so they've got 2 pros on the corners there. I know Dan Moore's got some work to do when you look at some of the pass protection numbers, but he is certainly a step above those guys. He's a willing combatant, and I think that's a really nice place to start. And I think that group's going to run the ball pretty well. You consider you still didn't have Cushenberry and Zeitler. People don't realize. I mean, Zeitler's 340 pounds, and when you put him and Latham together, I mean, you've got almost 700 pounds on that right side. They feel good about their running game, and we didn't see a ton of it, but I think they feel like they're going to be able to run the football.
So, Corey, realizing that if Cam Ward goes down for a lengthy period of time at any point this year, that the Titans are up a creek, regardless of who their backup quarterback is. I thought Brandon Allen was he's all right at times, and then a couple throws that were not very good. Tim Boyle, hyperbole aside, maybe one of the worst quarterback games I've ever seen played out there. So, what do you make of where they are at backup quarterback right now? How much of a red flag was that game Saturday at that position? And how do you think the Titans view that? Does it matter the way those 2 guys play on the field, knowing that if Cam Ward goes down at any point this year, you're in big trouble with this roster?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that what I consider when I look at both of these guys, like Tim Boyle, we've seen over the years has not had tremendous success in the NFL. And we've watched in practice as he's made some plays, right? We're like, that's a good throw. He looks the part. Word is, he knows offense. but you see what happens when the game goes live and guys' ability to process in the heat of the moment. It all gets turned up. It all gets harder. And it's not like he had wide open targets to throw to. Now, that's not the reason for some of the guesses that he threw out there. But you see that my point is you see the difference between practice and a game.
Yep.
And how some guys can look so good. Nathan Peterman, guys who can look so good in practice, and then the game comes on and it's just a disaster. But like I said, word is Tim Boyle really knows offense. And so if you don't ever want him to play, you just want him to run offense in practice for your defense and be a brain and a voice in the room with Cam, maybe he can fill that role. If you're not planning on ever having him play, actually, but he's going to fill that room for you in practice and in the room. Brandon Allen, coach is adamant that he's had a great camp, a really good camp. But I still think his strength is he's been in this offense for 3 years before. And that's why he's out there. Because you're right. I mean, there are other guys who have thrown for a heck of a lot more yards that are still available to go get. And I just don't think that, at least to replace Brandon Allen, I don't think that they have any interest at this point.
So can he be Coach Boyle? Can we do that? Coach?
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of what his role would be is player coach. Because, I mean, guys, if Brandon Allen got hurt, are you going to say, hey, we're gonna roll him out there, or you're going to go sign Carson Wentz and bring him in?
I'll do that. Yeah.
Well, okay. Speaking of signing Carson Wentz, because we've talked about this today on the show, Corey, but it's like, look, this team has a very good chance of not being very good, and that's with Cam Ward at quarterback. To me, it's like if he gets hurt at some point, what is signing a Wentz or whatever going to do for your bottom line anyway? So why not just go ahead and embrace having another very high pick in the draft?
Yeah, well, also, I mean, I don't know if Carson Wentz is going to assign to be a third-string quarterback.
Right.
So, the deal would have to be, you're our number two, and I don't know if they're willing to go there. And if Cam Ward gets hurt, Tony Pollard better take his vitamins and get the ice bath ready because he's going to carry the football a lot.
Well, and to that point, now Spears dealing with an injury, the high ankle sprain. It's going to keep him out the rest of the preseason. And we'll see, what that means by the time week 1 rolls around. But obviously, Corey, not what you want to see, not a great start for Tyjae Spears.
No, he's had some really good practices, and we all know how explosive that he indeed can be. But, we go through this, it seems, each year. He just, for one reason or another, the injuries find him, whether they be, hamstring, ankle, knee, concussion, whatever. He's, hasn't had that catastrophic season ender, but he's missed time. And then he's got to work his way back in. And I know they're really hoping that they could have that 1-2 punch this year. And so now, I mean, I think this is big for Julius Chestnut. Because, I mean, what does Julius Chestnut do well? He carries the football. And so I think this gives him a chance, to possibly, be on the team to start the season and get some carries the first few weeks.
That would be, I mean, he's an August superstar, but no, I like his talent. It's one of those things where it's like, I guess you could compare it to Mason Kinsey, but I actually think that unlike Kinsey, he's a guy who probably has enough talent to at least be a guy who can give you a carry here or there. Defensively, Corey, I liked James Williams. I liked what I saw from him. I think you can really see some things coming together for him. I did not like what I saw from Femi Oladejo at all. He does not look ready to me. And it's a bad, it's a great opportunity for him to play this year because this team is going to need him. But I don't know. How did you come away from that game with those two and maybe anybody else on that side of the ball who made an impression on you?
Well, I think the easiest way to put it is kind of what you said. One of them was noticeable and one of them was not. You saw James Williams, flying sideline to sideline. Heck, he came up with a big play on the opening kickoff.
Yeah.
And then Femi, again, going against backups, right? And he didn't get any pressure. And not only did he not get any pressure, I mean, he was part of a defensive unit that got run on. And that, I know that's a sticking point, going into this week. And I know he's young in the process, but I mean, it's quite obvious they intend on him to play a lot. And if he is going to play a lot, he's got to find a way. He's got to find a way to win. And I don't think there were any wins in there in the pass rush for him.
Yeah, like again, we all know he's a project, but you're still talking about a second round pick, right? Like they need a second round pick to step in there.
Well,
and
I mean,
to be able to give you
Devon Kearse
something.
was a project.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Micah Parsons made the switch, and and I'm comparing him to all pro caliber players. But
he's not quite LT.
Saying, no, but I'm just saying, look, they brought him in here to go get the quarterback.
Yeah.
And so he's they're counting on him to do it. Now that's their mistake if he can't do it. All right, but he's got to find a way to get there. Whether it be around him, through him, whatever. They need more than they got in that first game, and they may very well tell you something different. But I don't think I saw him sniff the quarterback. I did see him drop into coverage a few times, which I thought was interesting.
Were you surprised to only see Restrepo play 11 snaps in the game?
Well, a little bit. I thought he'd get out there sooner, but I think they want to get 5 and 17, some reps and time on the field. They're really happy with the practice that Helm, Iomanner, and DK have had over the last week. They like the practice that they had down in Tampa, and so not real surprising that they put those guys out on the field. But if they were, there's two thoughts to it. One, if they really wanted to see if Restrepo could do it, they would have got him in sooner. And two, are they trying to hide him? Are they trying to hide him to get him through the practice squad? He doesn't do anything in the preseason for anybody to see. Now, in the 11 snaps he got out there, I'm not watching him exclusively, but I didn't ever see him streaking wide open.
Right.
And then Boyle would have had to get him the football. I know. Look, I don't know. I'm just reading body language. I feel like there was a lot of disappointment there from him and his mom.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the hiding thing. I think he's hiding himself, right? He's just not quite up to the. He's not what I thought he was. But that's what that happens plenty with great college players or really productive college players when they get to this level.
It's one game.
Yeah,
he's going to have another chance this week, and we'll see if he can make something happen. But you're right; it's harder at this level. It just is. I mean, there's plenty of guys who were great college players and didn't do anything when they got here. The Titans have got a long list of them.
So the defense that gives up 178 yards on the ground without Sweat and Simmons. Does Sweat and Simmons make that much difference? Does that make everything make sense?
Yes, they make a very big difference. And the other thing is how many of those yards came in the second half. I mean, the fourth quarter was, it was a sieve. Okay. So I don't know how many of those yards came there, but the run defense certainly needs to be better. And if I asked you before the game, who are the Titans' two best run defenders? Who would you have said?
Probably Sweat and Simmons, and then you could probably throw Barton in there too.
Okay, so there you go. So you're missing your two best run defenders. If they don't make a difference, then why are they paying them what they're paying them?
Right.
So you need those guys on the field. But I think what we saw overall is they need more depth, and they need better depth. And that shouldn't be a shock to anyone at this point.
Yep. It's going to be interesting to see how that part of it plays out. Stop the run as we move forward here. Corey, great stuff. Great job on Saturday night on the broadcast. Looking forward to the rest of the preseason coming up, and we will talk to you next Monday, my friend.
All right. Very good. Titans and Falcons on News 2 Friday at 6.
And you're sidelining again, right?
Yeah, just this one. The last one is a CBS national game.
There you go. So Corey Curtis back on the sideline coming up on Friday. Corey,
it will not be Ross Tucker. Okay.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Corey Curtis brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic. We'll react to what Corey had to say coming up next. Your thoughts on the Titans. We'll get back into Cam Ward's performance, all that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Hey, Robbie Stanley here. Fantasy football is right around the corner, and make sure you select Twin Peaks for your fantasy football draft party. The fantasy football draft party package at Twin Peaks gives league commissioners and its members an elevated, easy experience, along with scenic views, made from scratch food, and the coldest beer in the game. And you can enjoy draft boards, player stickers, a $50 bonus card for the commish, and a whole lot more. Call to book your draft party at the Twin Peaks in Cool Springs or Madison locations, and visit twinpeaksrestaurant.com/fantasy draft for more information. This September, Tim McGraw will be performing at Trinetics' Rock the Cradle in Nashville, a meaningful event supporting newborns and moms at Ascension St. Thomas Midtown. You can get your tickets now at rockthecradlenashville.org. Robbie and Rexrode here on 102.5 The Game. Appreciate Corey Curtis for being with us in the last segment. Taking your thoughts on the Titans at 615-737-1025. They fall 29-7 in their preseason opener against Tampa Bay on Saturday. A couple series for Cam Ward and the starting offense. Ward finishes 5 of 8, 67 yards, quarterback rating of 89.1. Calvin Ridley, 3 catches for 50 yards on 3 targets. So a nice performance from Ridley. Good showing between those two, particularly on that second drive, which is where Ridley made all 3 of his catches on that second drive there for the Titans. Titans went 3 and out on the first drive. Ward 0 for 2, and then 5 of 6 on that second drive, finishing the day there. Look, I think Corey summed it up well, Joe. I thought Ward was fine in the game. Obviously, the first drive for the Titans did not go very well. And then the second drive, he made some nice plays. Ridley was wide open over the middle of the field for a 27-yard pickup. Big play on that one. And then a couple of, I thought, really nice touch throws from Cam Ward to Ridley after that. Did have a throw on that drive that should have been picked off. So you have to keep that in mind in this whole discussion. But overall, what did you think of Cam Ward?
Yeah, I thought it was a good start. and you're sitting there after the quick 3 and out, and I think that he had more time than he thought on the play where he drifted right. Yes, that throw needs to go out of bounds too, just to make sure. But then you're sitting there forever and ever and ever to get back on the field, and he gets back out there, and that second drive was good. There's some really good throws to Ridley, like you said. He missed something. He didn't see something on the near pick. But I thought the Ridley Ward connection especially was promising. That is like confirmation of what's been going on. It's very different from what was going on a year ago with then QB1 and Calvin Ridley.
Yep.
So as you tweeted during the game. So I think that's probably the one takeaway is like those two should have a pretty good connection. And Ridley could have a pretty big year, I'd say. So I think overall a good thing to get out there on that second drive, move down the field, and then just build off that. It seems like there's been a little bit of an upward trend for him and the offense. Kind of even like, again, held their own, did some good things against Tampa Bay in the joint practice after having kind of a bounce back day finally in their own practice, and now this. So it does seem like there's a little bit of a linear uptick right now.
It does. And, Tony Pollard scores the touchdown on that drive. Pollard didn't get a ton of work in that game, which is fine. He had 4 carries for 9 yards, did score the touchdown. Spears goes down with the injury, so he leaves the game, rides on the cart back to the locker room. We later find out it's a high ankle sprain. He's going to be out the rest of the preseason. So, when you're talking about a high ankle sprain, what's that going to mean for his status in week 1? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It's not a great start, though, for Spears in a situation for him personally where he needs to have a big year if he's going to continue to be around here, I think. Like if he doesn't give the Titans much this year, they got to come up with a different plan at running back next year for whoever's going along with Pollard. And then beyond that, like for the Titans, you got Mullings, who you just drafted, who I thought showed some decent things in this game. You do have Julius Chestnut, who is an August superstar, as you pointed out, and is good on special teams. So, I mean, it's good to have those guys, but neither one of those guys have the chance to be as dynamic as I think Spears can be. Problem is, we just never see it with Spears because he's hurt all the time, and he can't get himself out there on the field. And here we are again talking about a high ankle sprain before the season ever starts.
Yeah, it's tough. You feel bad for him because I don't think it's all been bluster about him looking better, more explosive, and him having potentially, more opportunity this year. Never bought the idea of the split. I mean, that's something Charles Davis said on the broadcast too, is that he said, I want to say he said like they want to split their work. That's a paraphrase, but basically it sounded like he was saying that he was told 50-50. And I just can't buy that at all. I can't buy that without this injury. Now you have this injury for a guy who has a massive injury history. And so I said earlier, go with Calvin Ridley in fantasy. Pollard's not a bad pick at some point either. Those are the two guys on this team that I'd look at, and he's gonna carry the mail. He's gonna be the main guy. Do you need to look at someone else as a third down back? And that's what you're gonna need. In the opener at Denver, you need a third down back. To go with him. Is Chestnut a guy who can do that stuff? Is he good enough in pass pro? I don't know. But I don't know if Spears will be available at that point either. I mean, high ankle sprains, I guess, just like a lot of things, are small or faster timelines for some people.
Cameron says high ankle sprains typically have similar recovery times as amputations. So we'll see what that looks like on the Spears front there, but not what you want to see from the Spears standpoint to start things off. Ridley with a good day, Lockett, 1 catch on 1 target for 7 yards. A couple other things that stood out to me offensively. I said it earlier. I looked up in the fourth quarter, and Josh Wiley made a catch, and I think it was his only catch of the game. It was. He made a 7-yard catch, and I looked up and I was like, wow, there's like a minute and 40 seconds left in the fourth quarter, and Josh Wiley is out there on the field making a catch. Probably does not speak well to where he is right now in the tight end competition. I think we know at this point that Chig and Gunnar Helm are going to play significant snaps out there. It looks to me like David Martin Robinson is third in the pecking order right now at tight end, and that Wiley is fourth at best. And again, I don't know how the numbers are going to break down and if they're keeping 4 tight ends or what that's going to end up looking like, but does not look like Wiley is in a great spot right now with this roster.
Yeah, and TD mentioned that Friday, the DMR as got to watch. And again, he was kind of a camp hero last year, but maybe he's even made some more gains to be a little bit more of a factor on the field. You predicted Wiley not going to make it. I think there's a pretty good chance that that's the case right now. Helm played a lot, didn't get a lot of action, but I still think you're going to probably see something from him before the preseason. Chig had a good moved the chains on one particular play. I know Chiggs
stopped right at the sticks.
Yeah, that's right.
Get to the sticks.
Get to the sticks. But I know Chiggs made a couple miscues, I think, on a couple cam picks during camp, which you don't want to see from a veteran tight end. But yeah, I think that's starting to become clear at that rotation. Lenny says Ridley's going to be double teamed all year long. Yeah, I mean, look, teams are going to shift their coverage toward him, but I actually think like Lockett. I think Manor is. I think he's going to carve out a role, and I think he's going to make some plays for this team. I don't think that they're like completely devoid of other guys who can make plays if that's what teams want to do.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. More your thoughts to get to on the Titans and your takeaways offensively. We'll get into the defensive part of the ball, part of the team coming up next as well. Take your thoughts on all that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Was the speed of the game about what you expected? It was. It's not really too different from college. Just more being, I would say, alerted on third downs. Just the cans that you can get to in Coach Callahan's offense, and then just getting the ball out when it needs to be out.
That's Cam Ward after the game on Saturday. Titans lose 29-7 in their preseason opener against Tampa Bay. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Joe, I guess we're just being too negative today on the text line. People are really mad. They're like, is there anything positive with the team? Spears is terrible. Oladejo's terrible. Ward's just mid. I mean, here's my response to that. First off, we said Ward was fine. Ridley played well. There were some things to like. We liked the second drive for the Titans to respond, go down the field, score a touchdown.
The most important thing of the entire season was pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
It was fine.
Also,
you build on it.
Yeah. So, yeah, all that's fine. They also scored 7 points and lost by 20. So, like, if you want positive all the time, that's the football team's responsibility. I'm sorry. Like, we're going to talk about what happens and what we see and what some of our opinions on it for sure. But, like, if the Titans put out a good product and they start winning games and they're fun to watch and the quarterback plays well and all these things, guess what? We'll talk about it. We talked a whole lot about this run that the Titans went on with Vrabel of getting the AFC title game and being the number 1 seed. There are a lot of positive things to talk about. Derrick Henry running for 2,000 yards. A lot of positive things to talk about when the football team does their job and puts a good product on the field. I don't know what to tell you. Like, they can't score points. They were the worst team in the league last year, and until proven otherwise, that's what they are. So what would you like us to do about it? I guess that's my question.
This used to be such a happy, sunshiny show. Now, Andrew did Andrew says, I can't believe I got to watch the Titans offense that wasn't run up the middle, and complete on 3rd and long punt. We looked like a modern football team. Yay!
There we go.
Okay. I feel like they tried to do some stuff like that last year too, right? But yeah, I mean, there you go.
Trust
most
me.
Of the reaction today has been.
I can tell you that. Let me pull you behind the curtain a little bit. All right, you're not going to find two people that are sick of talking about bad football more than these two right here on this program. Let me tell you, we've talked about a whole lot of bad football with this team over the last 3 years, and frankly, I'm tired of it. I don't want to talk about more bad football. I really don't. Like, I have no interest in watching this football team roll out a 3-14 season this year. I'm sorry. I don't. So I'm hoping that they're really good. But I'm also just not going to close my eyes and sing Kumbaya because things are negative around here. Go play. Go do your job, to borrow a Bill Belichick phrase. Go put a positive product on the field. We'll talk about it. I promise.
Yeah. I mean, Lenny says, I'm positive we'll probably get a chance at Arch Manning. There you go. Now, wait, Lenny, are you saying in 2027 or 2026? Yeah, I mean, look, I feel like, there's some people complaining, but I feel like most people are piling on the Titans and they think they suck. And I can't really disagree with those people. Texter says, I love you guys on your show. Just hate my team is going to have another terrible season, LOL. Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, probably. But again, like, yeah, it's all about the QB, right?
Yes.
So from that perspective,
that is, I'm not going to say exclusively the lens because that's probably an overstatement, but that's about 95% of what I care about this year. How does Cam Ward look? And I think most Titans fans feel the same way. Like, yeah, we're going to talk about the coach, right? And, I guess if the coaching it's just such a disaster around him, then that's gonna dominate the conversation more and more as the year goes on. But really, like, it's Cam Ward in the offense. Like, what do those guys look like this year? How good's Cam Ward? And I thought he was fine. Like, there was nothing that I walked away with overly concerned about on Saturday's performance. Yeah, he probably should have thrown a pick. That happens sometimes.
He'll throw a pick.
And by the way, he's gonna throw. Yeah, he's gonna throw some interceptions this year. And he's probably going to throw a few that are bad, right? Like, you're going to walk away and say, oh, God, like, how did he not see that? That's part of it as a rookie. But, yeah, all in all, I thought it was a fine performance. And now you move on to week 2 in the preseason, and hopefully it's a very productive joint practice session with Atlanta, where by the time the season comes and as the season continues to progress, you want him exposed to as much as possible so he can grow as a player and growing what he sees on NFL defenses, all those things. So, yeah, like Cam Ward, I think, is in a fine spot right now heading into week 1.
Yeah, and there are some parts of this team, because right now we're reacting to preseason games. We got 2 more to react to. Well, there are some parts of this team that are so bad that, like, you're going to come away from a preseason game having watched bad football. Especially QB3, but backup quarterbacks in general. And the depth on this team isn't good. So you saw, like like Corey said, there was a lot of dominant Tampa Bay offense or clock killing in the second half against that defense, which couldn't stop the run. Now, they did that early too, but again, the Titans I think they're going to probably play those key guys on defense sparingly, so they're going to look worse than they are. How good are they for real in real games? I don't know. I mean, I like the edge spot is bad, right? Corner could be okay if Snead plays, but the preseason games are going to really expose the depth issues that this team has. So it's going to look, I mean, in some ways, it's probably going to look worse than it is if they can stay healthy and keep their main starters on the field this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a big part of it. Now, having said that, the defense, most of their starters were out there. Well, I should say most. A lot of their starters were out there, and Kyle Trask looked pretty good, and they ran the ball. Now, a lot of the rushing yards, as Corey pointed out, did come later in the game. I do think there was one point in the first quarter where they had 70 rushing yards. So it's not great. It's not what you're looking for when it comes to Tampa Bay.
Right, but it's no Barton, no Simmons, no Sweat. I mean, yeah. Do those guys, how much difference they make? They better make a big
huge
difference.
One. Yeah.
Simmons and Sweat, if they're not the strength of the defense, I don't know what it would be. The back end's not bad, but
and by the way,
they got to be a strength.
Something to keep an eye on this week is, Sweat won out there at the end of last week. So it would be great to see him sooner rather than later get back on the field and be able to get in some work here before the season starts.
So his tonsils removed, which at first I was like, man, do that in June. But as for people who, I mean, when you're an adult, usually that means something happened and you realize, oh crap, you have to have your tonsils removed now. And it's, so I'm sure it wasn't, I'm going to have my tonsils removed in mid-August.
Saw Will Levis go get a surgery. He's like, oh, wait, you can do that? Okay, cool.
It's like, I'm going to get that, I'm going to get snipped on the Thursday of the first day of the NCAA tournament. Have to sit there icing myself for 2 days watching basketball. I don't think this was that. It's probably, but it's unfortunate timing but it's also better that it's like tonsil removal than it is an actual injury or him being out of shape or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. And again, like we talked about it heading into the game, there's no reason to play Jeffrey Simmons in the preseason. Like I'm not interested in Jeffrey Simmons taking unnecessary hits in the preseason when you know what his role is going to be and where he's going to play. So you're not going to see him throughout the rest of the preseason. The offensive line looked good. And again, I understand you're going up against Tampa Bay's backups out there, but the offensive line in pass protection handled their business pretty effectively, I thought. And look, it was good to watch the quarterback drop back to pass and have some time to see what was going on out there and to diagnose what was happening. And again, you're talking about a rookie quarterback. It's not going to be perfect. And week 1 is going to provide a much stiffer test than what the Titans offensive line just went up against on Saturday. But it was good to see the offensive line pass protect pretty well on Saturday, the starting group.
Yeah. Starting offensive line, Ward to Ridley, and most of Ward's performance. Again, small sample size. James Williams. Those are to me, those are positives. There you go. Multiple positives delivered to you, listeners.
Your thoughts on Johnny Hecker, the punter?
I was a little disappointed. I hate to be negative about the punting, but
we can't even get a positive out of the punter.
Well, give it big. Hey, those expectations are high for Johnny Hecker. I mean,
MVP.
He flat out shanked one, and then another one that I just wasn't a very good punt. So he's gonna need to step up. Texter says Arch isn't declaring. He's staying 4 years. Why would he take the pay cut? You don't really think that the number one pick money would be a pay cut? I mean,
Peyton Manning?
Yeah, that's not at all close to true. But I think there's a good chance he won't declare because that's been the plan all along.
Yeah, Archie says he's not declaring.
Yeah,
so we'll see how it goes.
If he's as good as the hype machine is telling us he will be, then And also, what if the team at the top of the draft is someone the Mannings look at and say, you know what, that wouldn't be bad. They could change their minds. I'm not 100%.
We like Nashville.
Yeah, there you go. The 2 QB system of Cam Ward and Arch.
Alternating
Cam
series.
and Arch.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Man. Teams wouldn't know what to do. They couldn't prepare for him.
Speaking of multiple
Revolutionary.
quarterbacks, we've got a lot of thoughts to get to on the Brandon Allen and Tim Boyle front. We will get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game, taking your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025, our phone number. Joe, a lot of people weighing in today on Brandon Allen and Tim Boyle. And I do think what you've said is fair. It's probably important to make a distinction between Brandon Allen and Tim Boyle.
But together, what are they, boiling? They're boiling.
Yeah, there's something.
Let Tim Boyle, Terry McCormick, that's the best contribution to Titans beat this year. Where's Kaharski? Where's he at? Let Tim Boyle, Terry McCormick, tip of the cap.
Brian, why do you put Tim Boyle out there as quarterback? I've got a painful boil to talk about.
Boiling.
Brandon Allen, 6 of 12, 62 yards, an interception, a quarterback rating of 30.6, which is not very good. And then Tim Boyle got out there, 4 of 13, 24 yards, 2 picks. Could have had more, but 2 picks, a quarterback rating of 0.6, which I don't think I've ever seen before. 0.6 for Tim Boyle.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing stuff. And I mean, in this case, sometimes the numbers lie. Like it looked like a 0.6. Whatever, I never would have even guessed someone could get that or that something could look like a 0.6, but it looked like a 0.6.
Yeah, it did.
And then Brian Callahan said yesterday that he was put in a tough spot. And I agree. The tough spot of people on the internet know his name and then just watched him play quarterback in an NFL preseason game. That is a tough spot. But like Corey said, they like him in the room. He must be incredible in the room.
He must be.
Like freaking amazing in the room.
Which, again, is fine. Like, I do think it's important to keep in mind that we are talking about the third quarterback there. And if the third quarterback ever gets on the field for your NFL football team for any significant period of time, the odds are you're screwed. So it's important to keep that in mind. So if Tim Boyle's great in the room, in the meeting room with Cam Ward, and he's an extra set of eyes, and he's really good apart from throwing the actual football in an NFL game, well, then there's value of that, and that's fine. Same thing with Brandon Allen. But, man, those two on the field, they got to be, if not the very bottom of the list in the NFL, got to be pretty close. Backup quarterback
as a 2-3 combo.
It's not very good.
I would think that they would have a real strong case against anybody else out there. You know who would be nice to have right now?
Who's that?
Malik Willis.
Yeah, he wasn't great the other night either.
But he
would be nice to have for sure.
Too.
Yes,
He'd probably be a little bit of an upgrade.
I will say.
Speaking of Titans elsewhere, apparently Caleb Murphy is lighting up with the Chargers.
Okay,
that's what Texter told me. So there you go. People go somewhere else, they flourish.
I guess so.
This seems to be the case.
Often. By the way, Corey Curtis asking me what Will Levis's quarterback rating was against Cincinnati last year, which I remember that game. Will Levis was atrocious in that game. He was 8 of 12 for 89 yards, 3 picks. There's a quarterback rating of 49 in that one.
That's a 49.
Yeah, apparently.
This is a 0.6. That's like Bluto Blutarski. 0.0.
Not very good. So I don't know that we'll see a 0.6 again. I mean, for the sake of all of us, I hope not.
Like, I seriously didn't think anything less than like a 10 or something, like a 12. 0.6? What in the world?
And look.
0.0.
Pretty close, man.
Someone's saying that Kyle on the text line, Kyle McCord. That's a nice pull real fast there. Kyle McCord had a worse rating? What was his? What was it? 0. What? Can you have a
There's
negative
not
rating?
a whole lot of room to get worse. There's really not. Do you think the Titans should keep their eyes open for another quarterback to bring in out there?
No, not really. Look, QB3 is QB3. It's a body. It's a practice body, and it's someone to let us watch some more excellent preseason football. Which, I mean, I actually think he might become like a cult hero where the ratings will go up when Tim Boyle comes into the next game.
I'm kind of excited to watch Tim Boyle against Atlanta. I'm not gonna lie.
I actually might be one of the most exciting things about Friday. I wouldn't do anything different. This team is not going to be good. This team is not going to be a playoff contender. And so if you lose Cam Ward, I would just embrace the reality of let's get the highest pick possible. I'm not saying tank, but this QB room is an auto tank.
Kyle McCord of the Philadelphia Eagles, 1 of 5 for 8 yards and an interception, a quarterback rating of 0.0 for the Philadelphia Eagles last week.
One completion, you can't even get a 0.1? 0.2?
Just telling you what it says.
Or 0.1?
I'm learning about.
Can you do 0.1?
Well, that's the same thing.
0. Oh, you said 0.1.
Yeah.
I thought you said 1.0.
I'm not even saying 0.01, 100th of a rating.
Point.
Like I'm learning about QB rating this preseason.
Yeah.
I didn't know it could be this bad.
Well, apparently it can. But hey, Tim Boyle, not the worst one.
Speaking of QBs preseason, some people have pointed out today, CJ Stroud, I lost it, but he was like 2 for 4, 13 yards and a pick or something like that. So his first preseason game, which of course meant nothing. He had a great season. So Of course. This is a tiny little snippet of information. We're going to get another, and I don't know, we may not get much Cam Ward information Friday
Probably
at all
not.
if they're going to, they have 2 joint practices. So are they going to think he's had enough work? I would value the game action for him, but my sense is they might play him the most in the home game and the third and final preseason game.
This is a total guess on my part. My guess is, as we sit here today on Monday, that Cam Ward will not play Friday. That is my guess. Well,
not at all.
That is my guess.
Oh God.
Well, because again, if you're playing him, you're playing your offensive line, and they're about to go through two straight days of joint practice. I don't think he's playing.
They get Friday. They get Friday off.
We'll see.
They can rest on Friday. I'm sorry, they get Thursday off, right?
Do they? When's their first joint practice?
Are their practices not Tuesday and Wednesday?
I believe that is true.
So
I'll double check.
With the game Friday, that would make sense,
Then they
right?
get Thursday off and rest them up and get them out there.
I mean, I'm with you. That's what I would do. That's my prediction as to what happens right now.
If not, boy, is there going to be some boiling on Friday.
Yeah, we could see
some
a whole
extensive boiling on Friday.
Which again, I mean, the more we talk about it, the more I could be excited about it by the time Friday rolls around. Speaking of Tim Boyle, let's head to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Chuck to the program. Chuck, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, good morning, guys. Before I make my point, hey, Robby.
Yes, sir.
I was outside of your family. I was the first person to see you when you were born. I showed up at the hospital. I was your mom and dad's pastor at Valley View.
Very nice. Thank you, Chuck.
So, yeah. Shout out to your parents and your grandparents.
Awesome.
Yeah. Hey, anyway, my perspective is this. A quarterback with a performance of 6 would be 10 times better than Tim Boyle.
Wow.
Well, when you put it that way, that's pretty amazing. Yeah. Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate it.
Hey, good talking to you, Robby.
Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate it.
Chuck.
Chuck.
Bringing some knowledge, bringing some math.
Brother
too.
Chuck. I like
Brother Chuck, boy, I was 10 times better than Tim Boyle with my 6 rating.
Boy, when you put it that way, it sure is fun to digest what that could look like.
0.1? Like, how do we even get
Well,
this
and that's
stuff?
the thing. Like, he threw 2 picks. How many do you think he could have thrown? 4? I think 4. I think 4 is the number.
Yeah, no, for sure. He had a couple that were very much telegraphed and very much here. See, like, I'm going to give the DB a better chance of my receiver to catch this ball.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, it was as bad as the number suggests.
Man.
I just didn't know the numbers could go there. Now we know. It's amazing. Like, so then what the perfect rate is, what, 155.3? Is that what it is?
158.3.
158.3 I mean, that's a big gap in numbers. You know what I mean? Like, jeez.
Oh, man.
Sorry, poor K-Dot on the YouTube chat says we've now convinced him to not travel to Atlanta Friday. Well,
I mean,
we're not trying to do
that.
Hey,
look,
it's a short drive.
Friday.
Traffic's not bad.
Atlanta's got the Chick-fil-A in the stadium, and it's not Sunday, so that sucker be open, right?
Holy cow, that's a great point.
It'd be worth going down by itself.
They must love the preseason in Atlanta, right?
Like,
yes!
Chick-fil-A's bumping out there. You can, like, watch Tim Boyle and eat Chick-fil-A at the same time. Pretty good.
Yeah. Make sure you get extra Polynesian sauce.
Corey Curtis has told me that Callahan said that Cam Ward's going to play in every preseason game. So I guess I missed that. So I guess he's playing Friday.
So if you are a Cam do, I think you feel okay today. If you're a Ward, are you doing? I think you don't have too much to say, but we'll see on Friday.
That does it for us today. We'll try to be more positive tomorrow. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman coming up next. You're listening to 1025 The Game.